So let's see if
Okay.
it actually works.
It said, yeah, this meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so there you go. Whenever you want to start, Jay.
Oh, okay. So I'm just good to go now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay,
we
I'll
only have
probably.
40 minutes, right? So it's we wasted a few minutes already. We're down to 30 at this
How
point.
long is it? Sorry, 30. Okay, we'll try and do 20. We'll just get through our picks and go through. All
Okay.
right, I'll start going now. All right, welcome to On the Block, week 6, October 12th. Joe, Rob, and Igor here. Boy, it's been. I mean, you guys have been doing pretty well. My picks haven't done the best, but I mean, off of my picks that I've actually made, I made some good money last week, so I've done pretty well. But Igor, we'll start with you. Any not picks necessarily, but just anything you want to talk about from the previous week?
I mean, I guess the biggest surprise to me was the way the Jets handled the whole Robert Saleh thing. I think that was I think we talked about. I thought the way that they handled that at the end was pretty bush league. Getting security to escort him out before he could even say anything to the team. I think that Jets culture out there. And again, I don't want to claim it's all about Aaron Rodgers, but it's a rough situation out there. A team that was supposed to compete. I think the two biggest disappointments for me in the season so far is probably the Jets and probably Brandon's Bengals, who are pretty much on life support when it comes to making the playoffs. So I think I was a little surprised because usually that never really works out when you fire guys that early into the season, like especially if you think you're going to be a contender. So I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out. But I mean, they got a huge game in Buffalo that if they can, win the game on Monday night, they're tied for first. So that division, I thought the Bills had it going handily, but now it's pretty wide open again. So yeah, there's been a lot of dysfunction over there in New York.
Rob?
Yeah, I had Pittsburgh and LA last week, the Rams everywhere. And those were the two games I hit so many picks, and the two games that I had everywhere, two ones that missed, and just like tough losses. I've been taking a lot of tough losses in these picks, like half point losses and extra point misses, and it's been hurting my average my percentage a little bit. But I think I'm sitting still around like 60%, which is
That's
that's
solid.
great
Obviously,
as
really
a
good. Yeah.
if you're trying to pick, like, if you're trying to go over 60%, you're a wizard. That's so
I wanted to touch on the Jets coaches. I mean, it seems like they've been a mess for a while, right? So since 2000, well, Al Groh was there for 1 year, 9-7 it says, but since then, Herm Edwards, which I mean, he had enough quotes. 39-41. Mangini was there for a few years from 06 to 08, 23-25. Rex Ryan, I think, was when Sanchez was there, where they had a bit of a run.
Yeah, yeah.
46-50. But yeah, since then it's been a mess. Todd Bowles, Adam Gase, Adam Gase is one of the worst reigns in any kind of coaching in the NFL in the while. What was his record here? 9-23, right? They brought in Salah, who was, I believe he was defensive coordinator for them, did a fine job. The thing that I found kind of shocking was not necessarily the firing, because I mean, there's the whole Lebanon patch thing, which kind of added fuel to that fire, right? Like if that wasn't there the week before, I don't think it would have been as big of a deal. That, and then also the fact that he was escorted out, right? I mean, not the first time that someone's been fired and escorted out, but I don't think that was the case when Gase or anybody else was left. So that kind of was a little bit, I don't know,
Weird.
suspicious, a little bit strange.
I mean, in terms of the games last week, I mean, the real killer on mine was how the Seahawks managed to lose to the Giants. Not even cover.
We
They
talked about that.
lost
Remember,
the
I
game.
said, I
That
said,
was
this is
awful.
fishy, guys. Yeah.
That was awful. So, yeah, I mean, like I think it's been a weird year in terms of the bets because a lot of teams like that you didn't think were going to be very good or at least average. And yeah, it's like Rob said, 60%. If you're doing that, you're doing a great job because it's been a rough roll these first few weeks.
Washington. I was going to bring them up. Jaden Daniels. I mean, nobody. I mean, he was the third quarterback going into like the month before, behind Drake May and obviously
Caleb
drawing a
Williams.
blank on the Chicago guy, but whatever his name
Caleb
is.
Williams.
Yeah, right. And then he comes in and he's been far and away the best quarterback. Week 1, I think it was against the Giants. It was like a field goal game the whole time. It was ugly, but he's been the best one since. Now we've seen this before. I don't want to kind of curse anything, but these guys that get out and run, they don't last very long. So I mean, I'm hoping for his case. He's obviously, I think he's also like 2 or 3 years older than everybody else in the draft class for the quarterback position too. So I mean, if you look at Drake May in 2 or 3 years, it's where Jaden Daniels will be right now. Any
Bo
other thoughts,
Nix.
guys,
Bo Nix
before we
is
get
like
into
30
picks?
years old.
Which one?
Bo
Bo
Nix,
Nix?
he's like
Yeah,
30.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
He's been
I think
terrible.
he's our age.
Yeah, and he's been bad. Rob, what are your thoughts on Bo Nix?
He's he He is what he is. What he is.
Backup? He's going to end up being a backup.
I
Or?
don't. I don't know if he'll be a backup. I think he'll be a serviceable, like maybe 15 to 30 quarterback in the league. I don't think I see top 10 ever potential.
No, he doesn't look good.
So yeah, but it's. I mean, we've talked about quarterbacks at ends. It's hard. It's hard to scout them, and but he's doing like he's got them winning games, which is good.
Well, the coach and the defense have been pretty good for them. I think we'll do that. We'll go through all the games, maybe just throw in a word or two. You don't have to give a pick, just maybe if you want to say something about the game. Once we're done all that, we'll get into our picks. Jags in London, no shocker there. The owner's from there. Jags taking on the Bears. Bears 1 point favorite there. I'm leaning towards the Jags. I think the Jags might, I don't want to say go on a bit of a run, but I think they're going to win a few games since they started off 0 whatever they were. Any thoughts on that one, guys?
I mean, I think Caleb Williams like started off pretty rough, but he's starting to get better over the last few games. I think the Jaguars are 1-4 I think that's a bit of a surprise. I did think they were gonna potentially be in there for that playoff mix, but those London games, I don't know. Even last week's actually wasn't half bad. I think it came down
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
end with the Jets
yeah.
game, but yeah, I mean, it's also always interesting how the Jags end up in London. But like you said, the owner's from there, so. Should be interesting. I mean, if the Bears go 4-2, that's a great start to the season, but we shall see.
Rob?
They're not going to go 4-2. Jags are going to win this game. This is one of my picks. Houston or Jacksonville has a massive yards per play edge here. Massive. I think Chicago's bottom 5 team on yards per play. So they're a bit of a, their record's fine, but I think it's a bit of,
Inflated.
a little fugazi. I think this is a sell point. And here's a stat for you guys. A rookie quarterback has never won a game not on American soil. So I believe they're 0-5 in these international games. Jacksonville has a lot of experiences. This is an easy one for me. This is Jacksonville. This is one of my picks.
It started off at 2 or 3 point favorite for the Bears, come down to a 1 point there. I was going to say, I don't know how many favorites have also gone out there because usually, I mean, there are pretty bad teams typically that go out to London. I heard this other stat. I don't know exactly what it is, but let's say it was like 20-8. It was an overwhelming. The favorites win the London games. This is more of a pick 'em here, so it's a little bit tougher. But even last week with Minnesota, the favorites do well there. Cardinals pack. Green Bay's at home 5.5. Cardinals coming off a big win. Rob, I know we talk about it almost every week. You're not a Cardinals guy, but I mean they seem competitive this year. So does Green Bay. I mean Green Bay's been scoring points even when they went down. It was like 21-0 to Minnesota. They came back, didn't win, but they came back and covered. Any early leans in this one, Rob?
One of the only games I don't have a handicap on. Both teams are off good wins. Arizona coming from behind against the Rams, and then Green Bay against the Rams.
Rams.
They kind of
they got you.
They kind of stole that one. If I'm not going to play this game, I'm not going to handicap this game. But if I would, it would be Arizona or pass for me. 5 points is a lot. Jordan Love looked fine for most of the game last week, but I feel like this would be more of a letdown spot for Green Bay going home after basically stealing a game. Arizona, I just don't like picking Arizona. You don't know what you're going to get out of these guys. It just seems like they're so up and down. So this would be a Arizona or pass for me.
Igor.
I mean, the Cardinals have been a bit of a surprise. I remember preseason. I think I forget which capper it was, but I think the number on their wins was at 7.5, and then the guy said to bet your house because that's not happening. But they've been I think a lot better than a lot of people have thought, and at 2-3, they're still relatively in the mix in that division. And I mean, at 5.5, I probably lean toward the Cardinals because I think Jordan Love's been kind of all over the place, and I think the Cardinals would have enough offense to keep that one relatively close. So I'm not going to pick the game in terms of in our 5, but I probably would lean the Cardinals in that game.
One of my picks, I'll say it now. It's not even a team. I'm smashing the under here. 2 teams that have been almost over in every game. I look to go against trends once they've kind of trends when they go in way too much in a certain direction. I think it's going to be very low scoring here. Just switch it up. The home team obviously going indoors to Green Bay as well. Cleveland, who's been probably, we talked about disasters of the season. The Deshaun Watson story needs to be studied about how he just doesn't give a flying fuck about football anymore, right? Got paid all that money and does not care at all. I mean, I bet you they wish they had Joe Flacco because the run they went on when he was there last year was incredible. Defense just seemed overworked because they're on the field the entire time. They're going to Philly. Philly's getting back pretty much their entire team. Lane Johnson, 2 wide receivers coming back as well. Seems a lot of points to lay down. I don't know. I don't really have a pick in this one. It's going to be tough too. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Phillies win by 21, but they've been a mess too. I don't know who wants to take it with you guys. Igor, go.
Man, I think the Deshaun Watson thing is interesting because I mean, by all stretch of the imagination, if they cut him, it's basically a situation where they get the biggest like dead cap
Yeah.
situation I think of all time. But he's been awful. I don't know if it's been the well, the whole allegations or he just doesn't look happy. I again, does the coach make it through the halfway through the year? I don't know. I mean, 9 points is a lot, but you consider the fact that how dysfunctional they are an away game. It's not going to be my five, but I would probably lean toward the Eagles just because there's nothing that tells you that the Browns are going to be competent in the game at all.
Rob,
They're saying he might have some injuries still,
he's had a
Deshaun.
shoulder injury, I think.
Yeah, and they're saying him like, but apparently this could be a tape issue. He's got open receivers. He's just not throwing the ball. I don't know if he has no confidence in the line. We know that the NFL's week to week. Cleveland looked so bad last week, so well, they're one of my picks, plus 9.5 against Philly. The spread's just too big. You're telling me 6.5, 5.5. I'm gonna go with Philly, but 9.5. Philly has not covered a big spread in a long time. I know we think of them as this dominant team, but they have not blown anybody out in a long time. Cleveland is not scoring a lot, so
Low
20.
scoring game then.
But yeah, but if Philly scores 27, maybe they do cover the spread. I expect Cleveland to be in the teens for points, but it's too much. I can see Philly just wanting to get in with a win, get out, get the wheels rolling. But yeah, it's again, Deshaun Watson just hasn't played enough. 4 years, 12 games, like it's not enough to be an NFL quarterback. It might take some time, and then again, we might never see the old Deshaun Watson again.
I think he's gone. I think those days
Could
are
be.
gone.
Very
I think
could
I
be.
think I think like we have all the kind of information, like we have all the results we need there. I kind of agree. I think maybe now that I look at this, if I had to pick, I'd probably take the Browns. AJ and Devontae coming back, maybe a bit of an adjustment period. They're still obviously hurt. I can't see AJ coming back and being 100%. And we talked about Jalen at quarterback there. I mean, he has all the tools to succeed. He's had everything, and he hasn't done a great job the last few years. Coach on the hot seat. Philly after that week 1 win in Brazil, they've looked terrible. Houston Pats. We're gonna try and get through these. I'd like Houston to cover. I think a lot of people probably take the points with New England at home. I think they're going to struggle. If you guys want to, Igor, it's your team, so I'll let you throw in something there.
I mean, I mean the Pats have been terrible. The only thing to look forward to it in terms of this game is that
Drake.
is Drake May. But again, they are throwing the kid into a situation where the offensive line hasn't been great. The only hope I have is that they've relatively kept most games very close. So the 6.5 number might be a tad bit inflated, and that the Texans don't have Nico Collins, which gives them one less big play weapon there. So I think it'll be a close game. I would probably lean towards the Pats the cover. But it all really depends on how he does in his first game. I think the first game for most rookie quarterbacks usually isn't stellar. But like I said, he can't be any worse than what Jacoby Brissett was doing, because Jacoby Brissett was putting them into the tank. So I mean, they were competent with Brissett in there in terms of not getting blown out by a ton. So I would take the Pats to lose the game but cover the 6.5.
Brissett and Tyler Huntley are two guys that looked like, I mean, fill-in starters. I mean, like definitely backup guys. They look like shells of themselves. I don't know what happened. Jacoby Brissett, he's a statue there. Like I've never seen a guy that. I mean, I don't think he's had a decent, taken enough hits in his career to be that immobile. But I mean, he can't move at all. And Huntley too. We saw it. Like I said, he made a Pro Bowl with Baltimore that 1 year. But that's that. Rob, do you want to chip in, or I'll just run through these?
Yeah, looking like no Joe Mixon as well for Houston.
Which has been, I think, most of the season. Right? I don't think he's played a game yet.
Yeah, but it's just I'm this is one of my picks again. I love home teams getting points. I'm taking New England. I got them at +7. I know they're plus 6.5.
Yeah, it's still 7. It does. Yeah.
And at 7, yeah, I'll take that all day. The public's all over Houston, and you guys know how I feel. If the public's on one way, I'm going the other way.
Yeah.
7 points at home. I mean, I like Houston. Like I think they're a fine team, but I think they've been kind of skating by a little bit. So I can see New England keeping this game close. Don't think they win, but I can see a field goal game here.
One of my picks of the week, Tennessee's at home against the Colts, divisional battle, 2.5 for the Titans. I mean, Titans are better than their record. They're definitely not a good team, so don't get it twisted. But I think that the defense is really good. Just one of those cases, kind of like Cleveland, where they're on the field so much that they're kind of gassed. But I'm going to take the Titans in the under here. That's one of my picks of the week, under 43. Most of their games have been trending towards the under, but I mean, some bullshit last second plays like that Monday night against Miami, they ran in a touchdown when they should have just kicked a field goal. don't know if you guys want to spend time on this. Anthony Richardson looks terrible. I mean, he had that bomb we talked about every week. Ever since then, he can't throw a rock into the ocean. He looks bad there. We'll skip over this one. Not much to be said, guys. But divisional battle: Tampa Bay and the Saints. Derek Carr is going to be out for a while. So I'm drawing a blank on Spencer Rattler is going to be starting there. I know he was promised prospect there at Oklahoma, and then he went to South Carolina. Didn't really do too much, but I think Saints fans are kind of happy about that. Bucks minus 3.5 on the road in divisional game. Rob, who do you like?
So for me, it came down. You're gonna laugh, Joe. I was either gonna take Tennessee or Tampa Bay. I think both teams like the spreads just don't make sense in either of those games. This Tampa Bay spread makes absolutely no sense. No
What
Derek
would you make it?
Carr. For me, this is like a 6-point game.
Okay.
Rookie quarterback. New Orleans has kind of slowed down a little bit. The last 3 games, I think they're under 20 points a game. No Derek Carr. New Orleans on a short week. Tampa Bay's off a really, really tough loss to Atlanta. Game they should have won. I think it was a Thursday night game.
Yeah, that
So
was when Kirk came back at the end. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just all signs are pointing to Tampa Bay. This is a terrifying spread for me. I'm going to take it because it was either them or it was either Tennessee or Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay here, but so there's something smells real funky with this line.
Well, the thing too that I was just thinking, Rob, like you said, Thursday game. So Tampa's coming off extra rest against the Saints, who are on a short rest and going back home. So I mean, it's an extra 3 days, if that's my math right, 3-day rest there, right? So I think that kind of factors into it too. But if you make Tampa like 5-6 point favorites on the road, you're not going to get any money going towards Tampa, I don't think, right? Would you take Tampa minus 6 against the Saints here?
I mean, it's a rookie quarterback. It's Tampa or pass for me. I know the Sharps are going to come in on New Orleans.
This is probably going to be a field goal game. I hate to take Igor's quotes, but I think it's going to be a field goal game here.
I don't know. I think Tampa's a lot better than New Orleans right now.
They are for sure. And I don't know how, Kamara's banged up every week. The wideouts there, Olave there with the Saints, and have a big week because I think they just tried to stop him last week against that defense. But I'm going to stay away from this one. If anything, I might like the under. Washington traveling to Baltimore. Washington's obviously been the hottest team of the season, going to Baltimore here, 6.5 point favorites. That's one of those games where you could say, is the Magic going to run out for Washington there? 6.5 points. I'm leaning towards Baltimore. Let's go to you, Igor.
Well, here's the thing. So basically, I think the Commanders have been the surprise team of the year, but you look at their wins; they've only really beaten teams that you would think. So let's see, we've gotten
They beat Cincy.
They beat Cincy. They beat the Giants, Arizona, and they beat Cleveland. So Arizona's been okay, and they really thrashed Arizona 42-14 in Arizona. But they really haven't been tested against a top-notch opponent, which is why you don't really see a lot of 4-1 teams get labeled with a 6.5 even on the road. But the thing is, I think most folks have seen that Baltimore starting to find the magic, and that run game. And I think Washington's defense is a little bit suspect. So I'm leaning Baltimore over here simply because I think it'll be a shootout. Because both teams, especially in terms of the defense, has been a little bit sus on both ends. But I think the Baltimore sort of found their swag with Henry and Jackson. So I mean, it's a little high, but a touchdown, I'll take it.
Rob?
Battle of Maryland, DC here, right? 2 really close rivals.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Driving distance for sure. Yep.
Driving distance for sure. Suspect for defense is the key word here. I mean, the Baltimore's defense is not looked anywhere near the dominant force it was the last few years. They've looked awful, but I think it's a great spot to sell high on Washington. I wish the spread was a little bit smaller, or I would have taken Baltimore. It's Baltimore pass. Baltimore's got the most efficient offense this year, highest yards per play out of any team. Washington, I think, is third, but like Igor said,
it's nice to have Derrick Henry, isn't it?
Yeah, but nowhere near the same schedule Washington's played. It's a lot weaker. This is a great spot to fade Washington here, but it's so many points. I can't take it.
All right. One of my picks of the week, Rob, your Broncos are 3-point dogs to the Chargers. Chargers are a team that, remember, we for the longest time, even when they had Herbert and right before with Rivers, they've always been like an over team, a high-powered offense. They've kind of changed that this year. They don't have the weapons. Their defense is pretty stout. I think coming off last week, Denver getting that win and also with the over. I like the Chargers here. I also like the under. I might go over picks here, but I didn't take both those. I love the under there. I think it's going to be really low scoring and take the Chargers by 3. Rob, will go to you.
For me, it was Denver or pass. LA seems to be a popular pick. They are only averaging 17 points a game for this. For a team that's supposed to be this offensively gifted team. The Chargers like to run the ball, and Denver, I think they can stop the run. This game will be one in the trenches. If the Chargers can run the ball, which is the identity of Jim Harbaugh, the Chargers are going to win this game pretty easily. If Denver can stop the run, it's going to be an interesting game. But Denver, 28th in yards per game, yards per play, sorry. Not very efficient. They looked good in the second half of last week's game, so I'm wondering if they're going to build on it. But I mean, the Raiders were all over them, and one Patrick Surtain 100-yard interception changed the whole game. Or else, I don't know. I don't know if Denver was going to beat Las Vegas last week. So for me, it's Denver or pass. But I can definitely see taking the charge here. This is a close game. It's a good game.
Igor?
Yeah, I mean, I probably would lean toward the Broncos. I think the Broncos have been again a little bit of a surprise package, but at home they seem to be very very solid. And again, one of these division games, you know how it is with the 3-pointers, Joe. At the end of the day, so I probably would
Take the
take
point.
the Broncos to actually to even win that game. It wouldn't stun me.
Yeah, Rob, you talked about their offense. I mean, Eckler's gone, Mike Williams gone, Keenan Allen gone. Like all those guys are all gone, so it's a different team. I mean, I feel like they just want to run the ball. The Broncos remind me a lot of the Steelers, right? Just like a struggling offense, a really good defense. Pittsburgh probably has some better weapons, and even the Chargers. I'd put them in that same category. Really bad offenses that manage to get done. I like those teams as favorites, but not as dogs. Here, both of them are. You got to pick one of them. I'm going to go with the Chargers there in that one. Chargers by 3. A few games left. Another 3-point game, and funny enough, the Steelers getting 3 points. Giving up 3 points against the Raiders. They're -3 for the Steelers. I like the Raiders here. I'm going to take them. I mean, obviously, Devontae's not playing, but I think that this team's kind of playing with a chip on their shoulders just because of the whole situation with that, the public call out. I'm going to go Raiders +3. Igor.
I'm actually putting the Steelers as one of my 5 picks because I think a lot of the Raiders, as Antonio Pierce has been saying, have been making a lot of business decisions in terms of what their effort, and the Steelers are coming off a little bit of a tough patch, but like I said, the Raiders really haven't shown me a ton, and now they're going back to Aiden O'Connell at quarterback,
Yep.
Minshew. I think they've been pretty bad at times. So I think the Steelers with their defense and their run game are going to give them some problems. And if you're only giving me 3 points, I'll take the Steelers to cover that.
Rob.
Vegas or pass for me.
Yeah.
Steelers, they're not scoring enough. Like they're great defense, no question. But they're off a tough game, tough loss, late Sunday night game. Like that game ended at 1
We
a.m.
talked about that. You guys said the rain delay or whatever happened, right? I didn't
Yeah,
catch it.
the weather delay, and that game didn't end until 1. I stayed up because that was one of my 5 games last week that I needed. But yeah, it's Vegas or pass for me. The 3 points, home dog. I always like short home dogs, but I'm not gonna. It's gonna be a tough game to pick.
I was the only one on Dallas. I think last week you guys were all over Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Because we're talking about how they had nobody left. Okay. Atlanta on the road traveling to Carolina, division battle for whatever that's worth, 6-point favorites. I'm going to take the points with Carolina. They screwed me a few times this year. I've always gone against them with whatever they've done. I'm gonna take the 6 points there in a divisional matchup. I'm gonna guess a lot of people taking Atlanta, but you guys want to chip in there, Rob?
Yeah, that's sharp play. It's Carolina here all day.
Yeah.
Not gonna take it as my 5, because I still got one game I love, but it's this is going to be a down and dirty game though to cover. Like this is going to be one you sweat. You don't check the score until the second half because you're going to sweat this one the whole day. But this is a great spot for Carolina here. Atlanta, like off a good win. I like that pick. I like Carolina +6. It's a lot of points.
Igor?
Yeah, I mean, Carolina, I mean, minus that game against Vegas where they did really well. They've been a little bit of a train wreck. 36-10 to Chicago last week. I actually picked them last week and they killed me. But the division games usually tend to be rather close. I can see Dalton keeping it relatively close. So I probably lean toward the Panthers because the Falcons are in a bit of a letdown mode after that crazy comeback against Tampa. So yeah, I'd probably lean the Panthers, but I definitely wouldn't put it in my 5.
Probably the game of the week, Detroit traveling to the Cowboys. I mean, I know the Cowboys are not, one of the better teams, but just 2 high-profile teams there. Detroit, I feel like they've been over in every game now that I think about it. 2 indoor teams playing indoor, high-powered offenses. Detroit's a 3-point favorite, and I feel like, Dallas is a public team, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be on Detroit. If I'm going to play this game, it's probably going to be the under. Igor, how about them Cowboys?
Well, I mean, I've been really impressed with Detroit's run game and how that offense has so many, they have a ton of weapons. One of the better teams. I think the Cowboys defense has taken another step back. I can see the Lions like beating them pretty handily, actually, to be honest with you, because I think the Lions do the run game well better than pretty much anybody, and the Cowboys can't really stop the run very well, and the defense has been taking problems. If you're giving me Detroit 3 points, I'll take it at the end of the day. I think the Cowboys probably got a little bit lucky against the Steelers last time around, and I think Detroit has a much better offense. I'll take the Lions to win the game and cover the 3 points.
Rob.
Yeah, great handicap there. I love this game. I love Detroit. They're off a bye, so they got some rest. Dallas still missing Micah Parsons, and like you said, like Detroit likes to run the ball. Dallas did a really good job of stopping Pittsburgh last week, but they're coming off again a late Sunday night game against a tough team. That takes a lot out of you. I think this is a huge spot for Detroit. I see Detroit. This could be like a 10-point win. I think for Detroit. I think they can. Really good spot. I think Detroit's a much better team than Pittsburgh. I think Detroit's one of the best teams in the NFC. I love this game. I know it's only 3. I thought this line was off, so I'm going Detroit here.
It's the thing. It's a little bit
One of my
fishy. What I was going to say
one of my
about
fives.
Dallas's defense. I mean, obviously missing Parsons and a few other guys, but I mean, thinking back again, when you're playing against Pittsburgh, especially in that kind of weather, you're selling out the pass because you know that. I mean, you're not going to get beaten with Fields and those wideouts there, so you can just kind of stop in the run, maybe put an extra guy in the box there. You can't do that against Detroit, right? 2 of the best wideout, maybe the best tandem in football. One of the best O lines. Goff is waking up or whatever. He's just very lucky to be there with that team there. It makes too much sense to take Detroit. So for that reason, I'm going to take the 3 points with Dallas and think that it's close. I'm not going to put any kind of serious money on it, but I'm just going to fade the public there because, I mean, Detroit, from what I remember, man, I feel like they've covered every week. Even they buried me in week 1 against the Rams. Oh, they haven't? Because I remember in overtime, there was like a 3 or 4 point. They got a touchdown. They killed me. They got the over and they covered in that overtime game.
No, they didn't cover the first week for sure.
I thought the first week was against. Oh no, sorry, they played Kansas City the first week, didn't they?
No,
Did
they
beat
played
them?
they played the Rams. I don't know if that
That
was
was the overtime game. They ended up
I remember
covering.
yeah, I remember we talked about it because I was on like an 0-4 and I needed Detroit to win that, and you were on the Rams, and then Detroit ended up doing it in overtime. The 6
Yeah, so Detroit, they hit the over. If it would have ended a 3 point, like even a field goal, it would have been under and the Rams. But they get the touchdown, they cover both the over and they screw me both.
You weren't exactly thrilled. You weren't exactly thrilled.
They did cover by a half point, but they lost to Tampa the week after as a 7.5 point favorite.
That's it. And I love Tampa that week. That's right. Okay. So maybe that's their only loss against the spread. But anyways, I'm going to go Dallas. Guys, we've got 2 games left. Cincy, an ugly game. Brandon Cincy against New York Giants there. 3.5 points. Again, one of those ones that probably most people are going to take Cincy. I don't know. I mean, I had the Giants last week. It was my pick of the week against Seattle. And again, it was for that same reason. This doesn't make any sense, guys. I remember I told you guys, I said, why is Seattle went from 5, Malik Neighbors is out, and then went down to that. But they ended up winning the game. Quickly, sorry about that. We don't have too much time left, but Rob, let's go to you first.
It's yeah, just cover your eyes and take the Giants. That's it. It's 3.5. You're getting the hook. Take the hook here. The public's all over Cincy. I do hate there's no Malik Neighbors. I will say that's a killer, but yeah, they won last week. It's either Giants or pass for me. This is a again.
I feel like Cincy hasn't covered too much this year either.
They haven't, but they've been in a lot of close games, and it's again just Giants or pass.
Igor?
Well, I saw some crazy stat that says that like Joe Burrow's like ranked number 1 out of in terms of the quarterbacks in pretty much almost every offensive stat, but they're 1-4. So what that tells me he's basically doing great, but the defense is like historically bad that they've lost all these games. And when you're going to New York, and New York, dimes and so forth, primetime games usually is not a good recipe. But when the defense is that bad, you just can't take any points away from home, because like if they're that bad where a guy's ranked number 1 and he's 1-4, I'm taking the Giants all day at 3.5. If it was 2.5, I might think differently. But if you give me more than a field goal there, I'm taking it.
You know what? It scared me that everybody's kind of on the Giants too. I'm thinking maybe this goes to overtime since he gets a Jamar Chase like 50-yard touchdown, and everybody like throws their fist down at the table after.
The Giants, I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up happening. The Giants D's pretty good, and it's kept them in most games.
Not bad. Yeah, it's definitely not bad. I think it was a little bit that people thought it was going to be trash, but it's been decent. And then the Monday nighter divisional game, Bills 2.5 point favorites going to the Jets, who just fired their coach, and Bills coming off a loss too. Igor, back to you. Who do you like?
I mean, when again they stripped Nathaniel Hackett of the play calling duties. Salah's gone. It looks like a mess. The Bills are coming off 2 straight losses. I got to go with the Bills because with the catastrophe that's going on in New York, that doesn't give you any confidence to lay any numbers on them. They haven't been running the ball. Brees Hall's been a joke of the last few weeks. I think it was 9 rushes for 23 yards last week. They're not getting him the ball. And again, Aaron just basically doing what he did with Devontae back in Green Bay. He's throwing the ball 20 times to Garrett Wilson and hoping for the best. I just can't. I think the Bills win by a touchdown because they're just a much better team.
I'm going to quickly throw in my pick here. I'm going to take Jets plus 2.5. It's probably one of those games where the Bills win by 1 or 2. These 2.5s there, I always try. When I was younger, I made the mistake of always taking though. It's either a close win of less than, like I said, I always say it's like a 7-6 game, and they kind of play off that, and it's a 1 or 2 point game. And also the Jets coming back from Europe, so that long flight too. Rob, who's your pick in this one?
I'm not taking this game. I wouldn't touch this game. Like you said,
I like
Jets are a
the
mess. It could be, yeah, but this is a game where the Jets should be extremely motivated. New coach, they're going to get a boost from a new coach. Aaron Rodgers this is going to be maybe his best game as a Jet. This is where he has to he got Robert Saleh fired. This is where he has to step up. Tons of injuries for the Bills too. The Bills are I think they're in a little bit of trouble this year. So yeah, if I were to play this, I would take the Jets for sure. I wouldn't even go near the Bills in this spot.
All right, that's it for the week. I want to get to the 5. Everybody's 5 picks. Rob, I'll go to you.
So I took Jacksonville +1, Detroit -3, Tampa Bay -3.5, Cleveland +9.5, and New England +7.
Is that 6 picks? Or no?
5 picks.
No, I had New England down already. Sorry, you got 5. So Jags, New England, Detroit, Tampa, Cleveland.
Jags, New England, Detroit, Tampa. It sounds good to me.
Igor.
So I have the Pats plus the 7. I'm going to take the Bucks minus the 3.5. I'm going to take the Steelers -3, the Lions -3, and I'm going to take the Giants plus 3.5.
I have too many picks. I don't even know if I want to cut it down or not, but I guess I will have to. I'm loving the Jets plus 2.5 now, just getting that momentum from what you guys were saying. I'll keep them on there. I'm going to go Titans, Indy under 43. I'll add in the over-under. I'm going to go Chargers -3. And I will go Vegas +3. And then the last game I'll take, I'll do another over-under. I'm going to take Arizona and Green Bay in the under 47. So 2 unders in the Arizona game and the Titans game, Chargers -3, Vegas +3, and the Jets +2.5. Last thoughts before we wrap it up for another great week in the NFL?
Not a lot of huge spreads, eh? A lot of we were accustomed seeing double-digit spreads.
10, 14s, 11s, 12.
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of like 2.5s, 3.5s. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, if you guys are in any survivor pools, I've talked with a few buddies. This is the lowest that they've been. Like, I have a few people that have had like the ones of 1, 2, 3,000 people that were in them. They're all under 100 people. Some of them have like 40 or 50. I think just the unpredictability of it this year with, I mean, like I said, all those guys of the Bradys, the Brees, the Mannings, those guys are all retired, right? So now it's just, you get a lot of the Bo Nixes that are coming in, the Will Levises, right? And it's just, there's no like locks of the week where those teams are going to get, they're 9 or 10 wins a week. It's a season. Those aren't there anymore. Igor?
I mean, I think it's been a great year for the bookies. Minus, I think, maybe 1 week where most people did relatively well. Out of the 5 weeks, I think the books have been rinsing people for the most part because even I would love to see the actual numbers as a totality about how many covers there have been and so forth. But it's definitely been an interesting year so far where it's been very unpredictable. I think last week I think the Seahawks were probably the biggest favorite and they didn't even win the game. So I think I'm -7. But like I said, it's just been an unpredictable year, and you don't know what you're going to get week to week. So, in those kind of circumstances, the bookies are probably having a field day.
And anytime you get those big dogs winning, like those are all parlay specials by the public. So they're taking those
teasers or whatever they are.
Teasers, yeah. But you're taking a 7-point game, on the money line. Yeah, the bookies are cleaning up this year.
Yeah.
I tried to pull it up. I couldn't. I mean, maybe I'll have it for next week. Oh, here it is. Home teams. Okay, so this is so far a season to date. Home teams are 41 and 38 against the spread. Favorites 50 and 29, 63% if you're taking favorites. Dogs are 29 and 50. Away favorites 16 and 7. Away dogs 22 and 34. Home favorites 34 and 22. Home dogs 7 and 16. So maybe if a team is a home dog, fade them. Early season treads, I'll save that and send that in the group. But yeah, interesting season so far. That'll wrap it up for us this week. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And we will catch you next week on the block.
Alrighty, with 2 minutes.
Hey.
What was that?
I'll
Oh,
send it.
and he's got a what was that? Oh, Eddie
Yeti-
George. I
Yeti
got my Eddie,
George.
I got my Eddie George jersey somewhere in the closet.
This
Back in
is
the day.
I think this was my favorite. Did you guys ever collect these? I got them all up there.
I have a Steve McNair one, funny enough, in my room.
These are
I'll
my.
send you guys
I
that
used
one.
to love these. This might be my favorite. McFarlane. I think they were McFarlane, weren't they?
I don't know, but funny. I have only a Steve McNair one raising his hand.
I used to. I still have it. I must have like 40 of those at home, just in their package. I haven't even taken them out.
Oh wow, those are probably worth a pretty penny.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but they're. I just liked them, man. They were. I used to really. I was into these things. They were like $30.
I think mine was the old wrestling figures from like the 80s. Like if I had
Yeah.
actually,
Don't you have a few of those?
packages, although those would be worth a lot of freaking money.
Pogs. Do you guys have Pogs? Pogs are making a
I
comeback.
remember them. I don't think I have any anymore, but I had a few.
I don't know. I'm gonna go check my parents' house now, see if I have them. I like that format where we hit every game, we hit them quick. I like
I think that's better. Yeah, it's just tough because I mean, you don't even. I think one of the games